Concentus is Latin for harmony. And there are 4 of us that spun off from another agency back in 2008. And it wasn't so much that we had any significant issues with the ownership. There was just some little creative differences in direction and how the services that we were providing were being allocated and our time was being allocated. So I foolishly thought it would be really easy to start our own little agency, so we went ahead and spun off. And we are now well into our 10th year, going into our 11th year. And while it is as much fun as I anticipated it would be, it's tricky business. The stuff you guys are studying and that you may be interested in pursuing as a vocation comes with some pitfalls. So as opposed to kind of giving you a long story and showing you all of our work and our portfolio, which you can find online, I figured I'd talk a little bit about today about 8 things that you may want to consider, which is in the sheet in front of you. All right, so if you have any questions as I'm going through these, stop and ask. I'll be as honest as I possibly can. So let's start with number 1. The internet is your friend, but not one that you do not trust. Much of what we do is being provided through web-based applications, from designing your own logo and media buying. The good news is that originality is getting easier to spot. The bad news is that there's so much creative noise that the good stuff is hidden. Good art is no longer enough to win. How many people here are just in it for the creative side, just drawing? Anybody? How many people here are copywriters, want to write for a company? Okay, a couple? Good. How many people here are just general marketing folks? Want to go out there and get your hands into a big company and go make $1 million?
And then we have accounting, public relations, sports management.
How awesome.
Finance.
Right.
Music business.
Yeah,
Right.
he wants to get, well, I was going to talk to you about later. Yes, this is our opera singer. He plays the piano best
Oh, nice.
of anyone in the world I know.
Of anyone in the world.
Yes. Oh, no. I was actually in an argument the other night with someone about how you are the best piano player, hands down, in this area.
Oh, that's sweet. I like that.
Yeah, no. Well, but anyways, but the person who actually is a very good musician said, no, I 100% agree that David is the best.
Really?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just because he's my friend. All right, so, but this actually crosses all disciplines. So what's happening? What's the web doing? What does the web do every day, guys? What happens on the web?
It changes.
Yeah, and it's growing, right? It's this breathing entity that continues to create. It's almost AI, right? Artificial intelligence, yeah? Every day, it can do something that a human had to do previously. And there's applications for it. I always laugh. There's a big movement in logo development that's called hipster development. Have you guys ever heard that term, hipster? You can now go to a site called hipsterlogocreator.com or something of the sort and create your own hipster logo, because it starts tying in all of these similar elements. And that's what I'm talking about, noise. It is so easy now for, Dick and Jane to hop onto the internet and create something. And that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that the element of creativity, whether that's in accounting and music or whatever it is starting to disappear, right? So those that are going to excel in whatever discipline you're studying are going to be those that can find their creative niche and drive it forward, right? And that takes a lot of energy. I mean, a whole lot of energy. Remember that. Okay, number 2, social media is your friend, but one that you do not trust. I referred to noise in number 1. There's a fine line between noise and quality content. While general rules for customer engagement look consistent, the winners understand the nuances between one group and the next. Learn how social media aggregators work. For more information on what an aggregator is, take a look at that site that I gave you there. Dr. Welch here is head font of knowledge on social media. But a couple of general rules that I'm going to tell you as we talk to applicants and we help people find jobs throughout the United States. If you don't want people to see it, don't put it there, right? If you are upon graduation and you have any questions on whether or not the stuff on any social media profile for yourself, no matter what it is, can be viewed and questioned, delete the account. Get rid of it, start again. So it's such a great tool and it's so dangerous. I've seen so many qualified applicants lose opportunities for positions in the workplace, even entry-level positions in the workplace, because of something questionable that's been on there. And it's on the news all the time. I mean, it seems like every baseball player has said something racist. So, behave yourselves, right? And understand who's looking at stuff.
Could you take this a little slower?
Yeah.
This blonde girl here in the back, she's having a hard time.
That's Scott Allen. He used to be an attorney. You can sue him.
That's my uncle.
Is it really?
Okay, I was wondering about the
That's
connection.
awesome.
Okay.
All right, so anyway, so social media is a great tool when it comes to the promotion of an entity or the promotion of yourself. Be smart, all right? Number 3, traditional, and this goes to the folks that are doing marketing things, and I'm sorry, a lot of this is kind of geared that way, and we can talk about bigger business picture stuff here in a second if you would like. But traditional media is dead, but dead in a Dracula kind of way. And where all that's going is as digital media has started to grow, traditional media outlets, television, print, newspapers, magazines, all that stuff has kind of started to dwindle away. But the fascinating thing is there's one of those old traditional media pieces that's growing like crazy now, and it's outdoor stuff. Billboards. How many people have looked at a billboard today? All right, so social media is going to continue to grow at a pace of about 11% annually, probably forever, because just new things are coming out. Billboards had declined, all of a sudden did a reverse tick, and they're growing at a pace of about 3.2 to 3.5% in gross revenue annually. And that's a big deal, and the big reason is because why? What did I talk about earlier? What's my favorite word from the stuff earlier? Noise. Noise, right, good. Noise, it's noise. The nice thing is while there's a lot of stuff out there, it's not quite so dense. And people are using outdoor to drive folks to the interweb-based communication platforms. That make sense? Right, okay, so just remember that. That's good stuff. Number 4, English class is your friend, but one that you do not trust. All right, so grammar schmammer. People are not communicating in the same way anymore. People are communicating in the vernacular. Yay, Twitter. How many people here use Twitter? How many people here hate Twitter? Yeah. It drives me absolutely crazy having to communicate in so many limited characters, and then the things that are happening to the English language in the process started on these platforms, and now it's making its way into mainstream media. That doesn't mean Twitter's a bad thing. It certainly has its place. All social media has its place if you're smart enough to know how to use all those pieces, Dr. Wilson. So, learn to communicate. When you're an accountant, you learn the language. You learn the things to say to a client that walks into your office and they're mad because something's messed up with their K1. Same thing in the ad world. You have to know who your target audience is and learn to speak the language they speak. And the deal is now is we have several very clear delineations of our marketing groups based on whatever the product is being sold. And how I talk to you is not the same way as I talk to you. It's a big deal. Okay, keep your friends close and your competitors closer. Know what the guy down the street is doing, not in a creepy, stalky kind of way, but in a general awareness kind of way, right? Social media is like a window to the bakery. You always see what's baking. Use it and keep it. Use it and keep up, and use it as a source of inspiration. Every day, I steal an idea. Okay? We're a small little agency in Temple, Texas, and every day I steal an idea. An idea may be the way somebody did some phrasing of a particular paragraph. An idea may be how somebody indexed a page for a website. There's so many different things that can happen. Use the knowledge that exists out there as an inspiration to what it is you do, but use it honestly. Okay? Don't plagiarize. Bad. Google is your friend, but one that you really do not trust. Refer to opening statement of number 5. Yes, Google is an amazing platform that is a remarkable source. Boy, I tell you what, proofreading is an important skill too. Of marketing tools and metrics. They also highlight the power of the millennial down the street that wants your business, right? So who's on Google? Everybody's on Google, right? So as you start to promote who you are, what it is you want to do, the company you work for, as you communicate with folks, this really great platform is available to everyone. So you have to learn to understand it and kind of harness the power that it has. Google is funny. There's a thing. How many know what SEO is? Right? For those of you who've taken a web class, search engine optimization. It's the way in which you get your website to kind of climb the rankings so that you're on the first couple of pages, hopefully on the first page if you can possibly get there, and stay there. And Google writes an algorithm that kind of evaluates all this data that comes in and then percolates that stuff up to the top. The problem is now everybody's trying to play off the same set of rules. And there's a bunch of unscrupulous folks out there that do nasty little things that Google doesn't like, so they keep trying to rewrite the rules. The bottom line is Google is the 400-pound lineman that can run a 2-4-40. They are huge, they're scary, and they're running things. So you have to understand who they are and what it means to your business. Not just in the advertising world, but in anything you do. We have a realtor who spends more money on content-related management than they do in any other thing they do in their business. And basically that's managing what people can find on Google. All right? Static as a general rule now means dead in today's web-based world. If you have a website, a social media site, whatever, update the thing, but make the content relevant. I don't like cat stuff, and for my friends, I'm really glad to see, you know, my nieces and nephews and their kids and whatever doing great things in the world. But if you're a business person, make your post relevant. Don't bore people. They're already getting smashed with stuff. We have our filters turned up so high on our email. I mean, I probably lose a couple of important pieces of email a day, but it's at the point now where I'm getting, you know, 400 or 500 pieces a day. So I have to do something in order to stop that stuff. Now, the good news is I think over time that'll start to clean itself up because, again, the algorithms that can go in and actually word mine a little bit are becoming more and more effective. But nonetheless, don't waste people's time. If you're going to use social media, use it wisely. And finally, video is your friend, but one that you do not trust. Think of video as the lazy person's way to info that keeps them from having to read. Because nobody reads anymore. How many of y'all read a book in the last year? Okay, that's not a textbook. Okay, that's still pretty good. That's 50%. I don't think, I own two millennials. I have a 30-year-old and a 25-year-old, both who have graduated and gone on to do very, very well, but they don't read. And I can't explain it because I love to read. I still devour about a book every 2 months. So, but anyway, video is really becoming a key point in communication that more and more businesses are using on an ongoing basis. It behooves you to take the information that's given in your speech class and get comfortable with it, right? Learn how to make content, learn how to make eye contact, learn how to convey an idea, learn to be comfortable speaking in front of people. Eventually, it will come to play a very important role in what you do on a day-to-day basis. I'm sure she's probably told you that. I don't think so, she has. All right, and so finally, on the bottom, at the end of the day, every discipline that comprises the world that defines our income, creative income, has rules and nuances. Yeah, I like breaking the rules as much as the next guy, but there's the whole consequence thing. Every campaign is an opportunity to perform a mini SWOT. Everybody know what a SWOT is? Right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Do you guys think it's a worthwhile tool? Almost every, well, that's a lie. Almost every week, we perform a SWOT to some degree based on a client, an existing client or a new client, and the markets in which they're trying to get themselves placed into. It's a great, great opportunity. But what a SWOT does, is, and more than anything else, as opposed to running headlong into, unless you're the 400-pound lineman I was talking about a second ago, that you know you can catch anyone and break anything, you have to take a few minutes to plan, right? Take the knowledge that you've learned in school, use it to, or massage it so that it fits the situation in which you're addressing, and then go slowly. Think your way through things, all right? The ones that lose are the ones that dive in without thinking, all right? Too many consequences out there. It's tricky. It's hard to own a small business like we own, but it's also highly rewarding. And Friday at 2 o'clock, if I'm tired, I go home. You can't do that if you work for Ernst & Young, unless you're Ernst or Young. What questions can I answer for any of you guys?
Have you thought about scaling in terms of growing the small ad agency?
That is a really, really good question. The answer is yes and no. When we started doing work in Temple, we made a commitment to being involved not just in the work we do, but in the community we're involved in, okay? So I'm involved in the Temple Civic Theater. I'm involved with the Temple Symphony Orchestra. I've been on the board of directors at the CAC. We're heavily committed to work with the Chamber of Commerce. So we are committed to not just being a money taker, but someone who feeds the community in which feeds us. I can do that effectively in the 4 or 5 communities in which we're successful in. If I grow outside of that, that means I have to find somebody that has the same energy I have. And I hope that's the case maybe one day. But right now, I can control the environments in which we have good presence in, just based on geographic considerations. For me to move something to Oklahoma City means a brand new set of challenges and issues that come with it. If I'm going to keep my same model going. Really, really, really good question.
And I think that, one of the things about here is there's been times where you've grown like rapidly and you've chosen to scale back because of the attention to your clients.
Sure.
And so I think that's important. I mean,
It is 100% okay.
That's one thing. I mean, even, you find yourself taking on so much work that they've even stepped back just to do the best for their clients, which I really admire. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you do.
Right. And it's tricky. From what we do, like a mall has cornerstone shopping locations, right? We have cornerstone clients. We have a handful that pay the majority of the bills, and then a lot of other stuff that kind of comes in. I want to make sure that everyone that's a member of those cornerstone clients receives the attention they need to receive on an ongoing basis, and gets fresh, new, creative ideas, so that so it doesn't look like it's coming out of the same house all the time. And what that may mean to me is I may call, do you know Keith Dotson? Mm-hmm. I may call Keith and ask him to do some drawing for me, or I may call John Stolley in Dallas, Texas, and ask him to do some drawing for me, or some creative ideas for me, just so we can keep coming in with fresh, new ideas. Yes?
Has there ever been a time you made a mistake and had to admit to yourself that you made a mistake, and how did you go from there?
I would, and that is a really great question too. And what I'd say is, I make them almost every day to some degree or another, right? The hardest part about being in the creative world is separating yourself from your personal likes to those that are the likes of a general population. So that's why we spend so much time studying metrics and looking at the behaviors of individual age groups and really trying to understand what those numbers mean, not just accepting it at face value based on what some aggregator sends to us. So a specific mistake that I have made, let me think. And it goes along with this line. We were working with Scott and White in a very, very, very small capacity years ago. They have a tendency to be a big city ad agency entity. And it makes sense. When you're a several billion-dollar entity, David Perez in Temple, Texas may not quite understand how things are working in Dallas or things are working in Chicago or wherever their business centers may be. And we created a campaign that was very, very successful for them, but it was very, very rooted one-dimensionally. I was thinking of Temple in Central Texas, and I was not thinking of growing outside of this area. And while we were huge successful here, we weren't so successful in a couple of other campuses. And it was because I didn't slow down enough to consider what the geographic influences might be. Yep. And it cost us additional business, right? I mean, so for us, for Concentus Media, a $20,000 piece of work is really cool, right? This was a $250,000 piece of work. And we didn't get any more of it, primarily because of decisions I made. Yeah. But that's okay. It was a learning experience. We move forward. And the interesting thing is one of the marketing folks who was intimately involved with with Scott White at the time is now working with us through another employer. But I had to eat some crow first.
Who were some of your top clients?
Two of our top clients,
Who
some
were
of our
some-
top clients. Locally, the two probably biggies that we do a lot of stuff that you might see is Linneman Realty is in Killeen. Linneman Realty started as IDC Realty, and they came to us in 2012, I think it was, and he wanted to rebrand. And we actually went through the exercise. We did a swap. We talked about what he knew and where he wanted to go. At the time, he was managing 230 properties. He now manages about 1,600 properties. They are a multi-million-dollar business. They're growing into Temple and Belton. And they went from a staff of 4 or 5 to a staff of about 40 now. They've done very, very well. And we continue to work awfully hard for them. Yeah, when they call us say jump, we say hi. Yeah. And then the other group that that's worth mentioning is the Military Child Education Coalition, militarychild.org, if you want to look at their website. We did not build their website, we're happy for it, but we are talking with them about it right now. They are a dependent of military service members advocacy group. They do some really amazing things, and we do probably $150,000 worth of video work for them annually. And that means traveling to Washington, D.C., to meetings across the United States, and it's really, really rewarding stuff. Good question. Once upon a time, back when, did everybody remember Glamour Shots? Do you remember the Glamour Shots locations? Or are you guys too young for that? Glamour Shots was like a digital place in a mall where people went and had their pictures taken, right?
Oh, yeah.
Before you could go and shoot them yourselves and produce, stuff at a billion DPI and have it printed over at Paper Graphics, and it looks like a professional did it.
Everyone ask your mom to show you
Your
her
glamour
glamour
shots,
shot. Yeah.
Yeah, they went from being things with boas and silliness to more real world things. But anyway, we used to do the creative for them for a number of locations throughout the state of Texas. We didn't die, the business died. Digital cameras and the ability, I was talking about the internet a second ago, same sort of thing, right? Technology is stealing work. Now, if you're a photographer, this is one of my most favorite things. We talk about folks all the time because they say, well, why don't you just come out with a camera? And I said, I can have a nice camera, and I know how to work some of the little knobby thingies. But what ends up happening is I'll take 1,500 pictures, right? And 7 will be good. A good photographer will take 70 pictures and 60 will be good, right? Just a craft like anything else. Yeah.
How do you create demand for your ad agency?
How do we create demand? Word of mouth is my best friend. If business grows, if people are having success based on the work that we do and our responsiveness to their needs, then we gain business. Another great way for us is to have strong relationships with the vendors in which we place our media. That may be the Temple Telegram, the Killeen Daily Herald, it may be Lamar Advertising, it may be Burkett Media out of Austin. It could be any of 1,000 different entities. We pay our bills on time. We work hard to be responsive to the needs of those folks. And they want to work with us because, go back to number one, we pay our bills on time, right? So we do good work, we're responsive, and we're hungry. I mean, I'm still trying to shore up my retirement, so I'm working awfully hard. Great question.
What are some issues you run into when you have a new client and also when you've had a client for a really long time?
Okay, so the client for a real long time goes back to staying fresh, right? And that's why I was talking about having resources in which I can ping ideas off of so that I don't start seeing myself coming and going. With that in mind, one thing I will point out is that when I get a large real estate company in Central Texas, I work with one large real estate company out of Central Texas. I'm not so greedy for business that I'm going to go and then keep on knocking on RE/MAX's door or Century 21 store to try to get their business. Because I don't want to see, again, I don't want to see myself coming and going. At the end of the day, no matter who you are, you start to have a little bit of a stamp. There are things that we do from a design perspective. There are ways that I write. There are ways that the copywriters we work with write. So you can stylistically start to pick things up. Try this sometime. Walk down an HEB aisle. A lot of what is designed out of HEB comes from Texas-based entities. And you can start identifying the ad agency who created the labeling for the product just based on its look. Okay, yeah, I'm a really boring old guy, but that's the sort of thing that you'll be surprised that happens. And your second question was?
What are some issues you run into with brand new clients?
Trust. Right? Trust is the biggest one. So much of what walks in our door has been burned someplace. Right? And the burn may have been something that they created themselves. Everything that we do is relationship based. At the end of the day, we draw well and we write well and we create cool websites and I'd like to think that we're reasonably smart people. I mean, not one of us falls into like an Einstein category by any means, but we all try really hard. The biggest point is that we communicate regularly and we develop trust just based on performance. And the biggest words, the most important words that any of you guys will learn from today is, I don't know. The value in admitting lack of knowledge and pursuing knowledge is way greater than saying, oh yeah, and then trying to BS your way through the whole thing, right? It'll come back and bite you. Boy, it'll come back and bite you. I don't know. Powerful words. Yes.
What advice would you give to someone who's hoping to move into the creative business space after college?
Be realistic. It's number one. And stay hungry. You'll have more doors close in your face than doors will open, but sometimes the smallest of opportunities are the best places to start. Create a network of friends. There are now, that's one of the cool things about the web, and even through things like the Chamber of Commerce, there's young business professional groups, those sorts of things. When you start to network with those like-minded sorts of individuals, there tends to be some cross-pollination that ends up happening, and opportunities will sometimes open up to groups of people. Be a self-promoter to the highest degree too. That doesn't mean being a braggart, but that means knowing your capabilities, and when the opportunity comes to tell your story, tell it confidently, and rehearse an interview. You know what they're going to ask you before you get in there. You know what they're going to ask you, right? Stuff like, other than people skills, what are you good at? Right? Most people, I can add. Well, everybody can add. Rehearse. Be prepared. So when you walk in that interview, you're just a step better than everyone else. Good question, too. Yeah.
All right, this is going to be the last one because, yeah.
How do you personally stay hungry?
How do I personally stay hungry? There's this Class A RV I want to buy. No. You know, when you do what you love, it all becomes a lot easier. That doesn't mean it's always rosy here. I mean, yeah, we've had success, but there are months when I'm chasing $20,000 that's greater than 90 days past due, and we're having cash crunch troubles from a small business perspective. And those are the days where I think, oh, the hell with this, I'm going away, right? You know, and my family isn't just, my wife and my kids. Yeah, I'm an old guy, been married a long time and all that stuff. But my family are the guys that work in there, right? So every day I come to work realizing that I have an artist that has a son at home and a wife that relies on me. I have a web coder where he and his wife rely on what I provide. My business partner relies on me, right? Because if we're not on the same page and we're not trying hard to grow together, we're going to fail. So there's a lot of families. So at the end of the day, you know, it looks like 3 and it's more like 20 that what you do on a daily basis supports. Yeah, it's powerfully rewarding, and I'm mad that I waited so late in my life to dive into this. I was in my 40s when I did this, when I decided to move to Concentus. I was in marketing for pharmacy, and I did pharmacoeconomics for a number of years.